oldest, the elder female in the room permission to speak.
Who is the elder? Sister Sylvia? Sister Joyce?
May I have your permission to speak? Thank you. All right. So the point that the side of the debate that I took today, can Black people survive in America? Should we leave or should we stay? The side that I chose was that we can survive in America and that we should stay. So let's break down this statement, okay? I argue that Black people in America can survive and should stay in the country. So what does survive mean? Survive means to continue to live or exist, especially in spite of danger or hardship. It can also mean to remain alive after the death of, and to manage to keep going in difficult circumstances. So this is the definition in which I will argue that we will survive. These are the three definitions according to the dictionary. Black people have survived and will continue to survive in America. So let's break down Black. All right? Let's break down Black. As you see here, for my youth vocabulary word, homogeneous. Black people are not a homogeneous group. Homogeneous means of the same kind or alike. All right? We are not just one group of people. So first, our African-centered or our Afrocentric, what I can call the children of the diaspora, will survive because of our spirituality. Ashe.
Ashe.
Throughout history, we have seen that African-centered people use their spirituality to continue to live and exist, which is one of the definitions of survive. We've done this by creating maroon communities here for reading purposes. We have books here, Flight for Freedom and Maroon Societies, in which African-centered people have created their own maroon societies and worked them as African societies. They found these comforts in slavery in the mountains or in swamps. So these are two reading sources for my youth. Also, they've made the slave master believe that they are practicing Christianity, but at the same time, they are praying to their indigenous deities. All right? We see this mentioned in Michael Gomez exchanging our country marks. And we also see in the Haitian Revolution the spirituality being used in the form of voodoo or voodoo in order for Haiti to overthrow the French. And they did not forget their ancestors. And then lastly, for women, women have used their spirituality to mix roots, to make sure that they do not populate their master's plantation. And they've always remembered their ancestors. We see an example of the Haitian Revolution in this book called Black Jacobins by C.L.R. James. And then laboring women, we see here where women in the Caribbean and the United States have used their African spirituality to fight against the oppressive systems. Number two, the second group, African American elites. They will survive in America because they believe in the American economic system called capitalism. Why should they stay? Because they have the money to put the capital up for racial liberation. We've seen this happen before in Black Wall Street. Jacksonville here was a thriving Black community, part of Black Wall Street. The difference with the previous Black Wall Street and the current Black Wall Street that we should create is protection. At this time, like my opponent, we have who can fight. destroyed like previously before. And we also, like we've learned from the Black Panther Party, must police our own communities, through neighborhood watch. Here are some reading resources of Black Wall Street. This is from downtown Durham, North Carolina. These are some of the businesses, churches, hospitals, grocery stores that were a part of the Black Wall Street, and then 3 book resources that I suggest for reading. Next, our African American middle class will survive also because they believe in capitalism, but unlike the elites, they are the cornerstone of American culture. All right? These are the people who somewhat believe and uphold the process of seasoning that happened during slavery. Why will they stay? Because middle class is built on consumerism, meaning they buy a lot of goods and products. Consumerism is a vocabulary word for my youth. It means that you buy, you consume. All right? So as long as this group, as long as they can purchase goods and be in the vanguard of the culture, they feel comfortable. So why should they leave the country? Stay in the country. You feel comfortable because of this. And the system gives them this pseudo-freedom so that they don't understand real freedom, and they're loyal to the American system. This is the reason why Black middle class will stay in America. Here are readings, suggested readings to understand and better understand this group, the Black bourgeoisie. Bad and bougie. Number 4, African American poor will survive because they are largely the free and cheap labor source. All right? Why should they stay? Unless another area is in need of development, i.e. their labor, and is willing to take in poor and criminals like Australia did with the British, poor Black people don't have the funds to leave America. So they will survive and stay in America. Here is a very important, I'm sure the youth have read this book, The New Jim Crow, and understand the prison to pipeline system. Lastly, the last group, and by all means, because of time, I'm only discussing 5. But the last group that we will discuss are the mentally colonized, because not everyone in America is African American. So we're talking about those of color, particularly from the Caribbean, from Africa, who have been colonized, who live in the belly of the beast of colonization. They will survive in America because they're trained to believe in the colonized system. America is one. They will stay in America because they've, again, been trained to believe in the system. They're loyal to the system, believe that white is right. These are the group that say, I'm not going to name my baby a Black name. He or she ain't even going to get a job. What kind of Black stuff is that? Those who believe that HBCUs are inferior and that white schools are better. Those who believe that the Queen's English is the proper way to speak. Don't come over here with that patois or Creole. Those who can't help who they fall in love with types. Those who believe that mixed kids are prettier. Those who believe that you have to cut your locks and straighten your hair in order to be professional. They will survive in America, and they will stay in America because they are loyal to America. These are readings from the great Frantz Fanon about these groups of people.
I'm going to put this back in here in a second. Just make sure you don't touch it.
Thank you. That concludes my opening statement.
What I will prove today, beyond the shadow of a doubt, is that not only will we not survive if we remain here, we need to start getting ready to go right now. Now, I'm not saying that we have to up and leave in the morning. I agree. Many of us aren't even prepared or capable to do so. I am not able to do so. But that does not mean that we should not start to prepare financially, mentally, and spiritually to get the hell out of here. Now, I'm going to show you why they will not allow us to survive in this country, that they are bent on our destruction, and that they will never stop. Now, we must all get ready to go. There was a great ancestor that we had by the name of Harriet Tubman. She said, I freed thousands of slaves. I would have freed thousands more if they only knew they were slaves. And when she took them out to run to freedom, many of the slaves would say what Miss Anthony was saying. No, we can stay. We can go back and we can survive there. We can make it through there. And she would put that shotgun to their faces and she would tell them, either you're going to go be free or you're going to be dead. It's only two choices, freedom or death. Well, I'm telling you right now, we only have two choices. And those choices are freedom or death. Because little do we know, everyone in here will get shivers and they will fear when they see this man, Adolf Hitler. And they think about Nazism and what he did to the Jews and how he fried them, how he rounded them up, how he persecuted them, how he killed 6 million of them. But what we don't know is that Nazism came from America. The white European in America is just as devilish or more devilish than any German Nazi you could ever come across. And as proof, I submit to you, the leader of the Nazi party got all of his ideas from a book called The Passing of the Great Race. This book was written by a European American named Madison Grant. And when Adolf was in prison before he started his Nazi revolution, he read this book. He called over to the Americans when he got out. He wrote letters and he said, this book, based on what the Americans have going, he said, this book is my Bible. Right? Okay, so we need to know who we're dealing with here. There's no difference between these two men. And when I tell you that they're not going to allow us to survive, when I tell you that they're bent on our total destruction, some people might say, well, that's far out. Right? You sound kind of crazy. They can't be that bad. That's absurd. Where are you getting these ideas? Well, guess what? The Jews had warning signs that this Holocaust was about to start. Adolf Hitler went around asking other nations to take them. He gave them signs that they should leave. They had warning signs. And they said the same thing. Oh, that's far out. That can't happen. We won't be rounded up. We won't be killed without justice. There's no way it can happen. And we all know how that ended with 6 million dead Jews. Okay? Now this is the crazy thing. Not too long ago, there was an election going on. There was a woman by the name of Hillary Clinton, a devil. There was a whole field of Republicans, all sick. And then this lunatic came on the scene. And everybody said, that could never happen. Trump could never be president. That's absurd. No way, I'm not even worried about that. Next, move on. And the next thing you know, this devil is in the White House. Right? And he has Nazis in his administration. If you write down the name Gorka, and if you write down the name Bannon, these are two certified Nazis that Trump brought into his administration. So they one and the same. You better know who we're dealing with. If you saw this movie, get out. There was a time when one of the brainwashed individuals that she talked about, he came face to face with the brother. And he didn't say, stay here, you're middle class, you can make it because of your assets. The only thing he told the brother was, get out, get the F out. Right? And that's our only solution. Now a lot of people are going to say, where are we going to go? Right? We can't go back to Africa. It's a war zone over there. They don't want us. We don't have anywhere to go. We got to stay right here in America. But guess what? Over 3,000 African Americans have already left and went back into Ghana, who have given us a right to abode, given us legal citizenship status in that country. There's big thriving business and industry in Africa. Every resource that you can think of, gold, diamond. Anybody who's questioning where we can go, this is the thing for anybody who has a question about Africa. Right now, the Chinese, the Arabs, the British, every other race is bum rushing to get into Africa. There's so much immigration into Africa that the Africans don't know what to do. The Chinese are moving in, marrying the African women, and taking over because they see the resources. They see the opportunity. They see the industries that are starting there. There's no place else on the earth like it. And they said, we got to get into Africa, and it's not there. Africa is ours. And we got black people over here who don't even want to go back and take what's ours. If they smart enough to go and thrive, and they're getting filthy rich, De Beers, the largest diamond country in the world, Africa. The largest gold mines on the planet, Africa. Everybody's smart enough to go get into Africa except the Africans. Do you see? So we have somewhere we can go. Very feasible and very realistic. Now, we need to understand this. My opponent quoted a lot of books, but she didn't cite this one. The Destruction of the Black Civilization by Dr. Chancellor Williams. In this book, this brother who spent 20 years in Africa, after he went to college in America and in India, he spent 20 years in Africa and it took 20 years to write this book. He outlined how they have been at war to destroy us for over 6,000 years, right? And if they've been going after us for 6,000 years, you think they're going to stop now? Now, let's look at a bit of what they have done and continue to do. The slave trade. We all know a little bit about it. I always talk about tight packing because they put us on ships like sardines. And they knew that the conditions were so bad that most of the slaves would die, so they took out insurance. She said something about insurance. They would take out insurance on the slaves because they knew half of them were going to die before they got here. They would pack them like sardines, so if the people up here urinated or defecated, that means peed or doo-doo, it went down and fell on their brothers' faces and their sisters' faces, and there was nothing they could do because they were chained there, right? This is how the disease was created, okay? The sharks began to follow the ships because so many dead bodies would be thrown overboard. They knew they would have good meals, right? This is what this European has done to us. When they got us here, they began to break us and beat us, not only physically, but mentally too. This is a practice called buck breaking, where a plantation owner would take the biggest black male slave on his farm, strip him naked and rape him right in front of his wife and children. So he not only break him and demoralize him, but he terrorized the children and the wife. And if that's what they were doing to the men, imagine what they were doing to the women. Right? Imagine what they were doing to the women. They would take a woman, a pregnant woman, snatch her stomach open, snatch the fetus out, and bust his head on the rocks. Right? This is who we're dealing with. He hasn't changed. As soon as we get off the plantation, they develop what they call the convict lease system. They lock you back up based on some little, he did jaywalking or he did something petty, put you back in jail, and put you right back on the same plantations that you had left a few minutes ago. Right? And then she said that we can rebuild Black Wall Street. Do we remember what happened to Black Wall Street? They're not going to let you stay and build. If you say I want to stay, hey, you can say, hey, Mr. White Man, I don't want any food stamps. I don't want any of your social benefits. I'm going to go over here and I'll do everything for myself. I won't bother you. You won't have to help me. And they will still come and bomb and burn it to the ground. Right? And there's no protecting it because the men aren't even men anymore. Right? The men aren't even men anymore. How are you going to protect something with no men? They're going to destroy it. They won't let you live in peace. This is a little child in Tulsa, Oklahoma, when they bombed it to the ground, killed 3,000 black people, trying to carry his little probably dead brother away. Okay? They lynched us, burnt us, and make parties out of it. They have a picnic, which is picnic nigga, lynch them, fry them, and let's have some drinks and party. Right? This is who we're dealing with. These are Nazis. Okay? They won't even let you have leaders to get together and organize. That's Malcolm, took him out. Martin, took him out. That's Fred Hampton, took him out. We've got to realize who we're dealing with. And last but not least, after the Holocaust was completed, do you know we went and recruited all of the scientists that organized the Holocaust and brought them into America? Okay? We brought them into the country to work in our government. Right? Nazi scientists after World War II. Individual here known as Takeia Anthony. Y'all should know him. He was hired specifically to persecute every black leader that arose and take them out. Right? He said his own quotes, I will not let a black leader arise. He started with Marcus Garvey and he didn't stop till he took out the Panthers. That's 50 or 60 years of hard work wiping out our leaders. Right? We took them all out. Garvey ended up out of the country. Martin ended up dead. Malcolm ended up dead. Medgar Evers dead. He didn't stop, and he won't stop. Right? Crack cocaine. Now, we all know when crack came out, it was something else. But what we didn't know, and that's outlined in this book, I never leave home without it, The New Jim Crow, is that the American government, and everything I'm telling you now is documented. I'm not making this up to win the debate. The American government admitted to bringing crack into our black neighborhoods. Oliver North. Just Google Oliver North. Nah, that's just one little evil thing. What we did know is that the crack was biologically built to only affect black people. It was created in a way to bond to our melanin, so we get strung out the worst and we die the worst. We're dealing with a Nazi, but we don't want to treat them that way. And so you get moms who were once loving and caring, using crack while they're pregnant and their baby born addicted to crack. When if the baby survives, they'll prostitute the baby to get some more crack. Here in America, we didn't have crack back home before we got here, okay? The New Jim Crow. This book right here, if you read it, it'll outline exactly how the slavery system never went away. We have just as many black men in prison now as we had in slavery back in 1860. Nothing has changed. And if you go into many of the big cities, the majority of the black men have felony convictions. And we know what a felony does to somebody's life, right? Psychological warfare. This is what I'm talking about now. Because they're coming for our youth. And they making sure our youth are not going to be men and women. They're making sure our youth mind only leave them fit to be in the prison. They're making sure that we don't form families like Bowen talked about before. They're teaching our girls feminism. Feminism and welfare were just two things to say, get rid of the black man. You don't need him to work, we'll give you money. You're an independent, strong black woman on welfare. Get rid of the black man. All right? And this devil, Ronald Reagan, made it a point to outsource as many jobs as he could, meaning send these jobs to other countries. She said they need us for cheap labor. No, they don't. They send those jobs to Mexico, China, everywhere they can, just to make sure you don't have a way to make a living. All right? Now, this is what I want you to understand. Even if they don't kill us and shoot us and wipe us out in the streets, which they are, even if they weren't doing it by violence, which they are, even if they weren't taking us out one by one in the prison, which they are, even if they didn't kill us, just being in this culture is going to kill us. Their culture is poison. The American culture, the American European culture is poison, and it's killing us. It's killing us. We won't survive because we won't have our African spirituality because they are taking us and making us into them. Now, you want to talk about their spirituality? This is Zeus, the Greek god that they worship over in Europe. He was a rapist, pedophile, child molesting freak. This is their god. Now, if that's what you worship, you know who you really are. Now, we wonder why the Catholic popes keep molesting the little boys, right? We wonder why they're pushing the LGBTQ. We wonder why they're pushing gay lives matter, black lives matter. But that's their culture. But now they're bringing it to us. We become them. The biggest, baddest basketball player in history becomes the spokesperson for AIDS, and his son, that's a male, well, that was once a male, is now a 6'5" woman. Well, wanna be a woman, right? Okay, we won't be able to build and protect the Black Wall Street if the men are like this. What the hell is that do? All right, 12% of the population are the blacks. 44% of the new AIDS cases. Washington, D.C., Atlanta, Orlando, cities out in California, they have AIDS rates worse than third world countries. We're not gonna make it. We're not gonna make it, and that's the face of it. That's the face of it. Homosexual, down low black men who may even get married, step out, do what they're gonna do, get infected, and bring it back to their wives. Because the black women are suffering worse. They're dying worse. So last but not least, we are in a state of open Nazism now, okay? The killings that we are seeing every day on TV, that's just one way they're killing us. Sandra Bland, we talked about the middle class. This young lady right here was brilliant, getting ready to start a job as a professor. Young black woman, activist, beautiful woman. Pulled her over because of a traffic infraction that she didn't even commit and lynched her. They found her hung in a jail cell by a trash bag. And they said she did it herself. Old-fashioned music, okay? Then you have this Philando Castillo, brother, built his family, working, doing the right thing, trying to survive here in America. Driving in the car with his wife and his daughter in the backseat. They pulled him over because they said a tail light was out. He tells the officer, I have my gun permit and I have my gun. And the officer blows him away on Facebook Live, 9mm rounds shooting through the car with his daughter in the backseat. And no one went to jail. And no one's gonna go to jail. Because we're in Nazism. You don't arrest Nazis for killing Jews, do you? Okay. And this memo, I put the link right here, the FBI went on ahead and admitted that when Obama took office, white supremacists began joining the police force so that they would have the shield and the weapons to kill black people and get away with it. That's the memo. I'll send you the link if you want it. And Donald Trump has done nothing but endorse this. Okay? When the Nazis came out in Charlottesville not too long ago, I'm wrapping up. They came out in Charlottesville not too long ago. They had big rallies. They were throwing up the Nazi symbols. They said, Trump, you got to tell these people to stop. They're running cars over and killing people. Trump said, look, there's some good people out there. Right? That's code word for go ahead and do your thing. Okay? And the black men can't defend you when they're looking like what we just saw with Young Jock and Young Thug and all of these things. So, Trump comes out and tells the police, go ahead, be rough. Don't be careful with these people. Okay? And these two right here will wrap this up. They come out with a list called the Black Identity Extremists. Right? Y'all should write that down if you don't know what it is. The Black Identity Extremists list says the government is tracking every black person who's proud of their blackness. If you're proud of being black, if you're trying to help the black community, you're on the list. We're going to consider you a terrorist. And we're coming after you. And lastly, some of you still may believe that they wouldn't round people up in America and put them in internment camps. This is it, boy. But do you know they've already done it before? They've rounded up the Japanese, put them in internment camps, snatched them out of their houses during the war because they didn't trust them. So when they're calling every good black person a terrorist and they're doing open violence in the streets, there's only one more step to this thing. You better start getting ready to deal with it. That's my opening statement.
In summary, I do believe that blacks can survive in America and should stay in America. As you've seen, this debate is a long debate, old debate, I should say. And so what we've seen in the past that our ancestors have proposed that we create a black belt in the South. What I stand on is that we should not only focus on the South, but create this black belt for the entire country. And in order to do that, we must infiltrate into all the facets of life in these cities, particularly in political offices and in areas where HBCUs and MPHC, our Greek life and other grassroots organizations are active. Those are some of the most important, and we should start there. Working with the youth and our HBCUs, all of our missions are to use community service and go out into the communities in which our schools are building in. So we should use those to infiltrate into all of these facets of life for this total domination, this takeover, not just the black belt, but across the United States. All economic groups must participate, and some examples of how some of these cities are starting. We have Atlanta with the black mayor, Durham, North Carolina, a black mayor, a thriving HBCU in the area. Daytona Beach has a black mayor, Washington, D.C., Baltimore, and some of our political officials look to Cory Booker and Kamala Harris. And so hopefully with this start, we can continue on to survive, thrive, and stay in America. Thank you.
Amen. We have to get ready to go, and I'm sorry to tell you, soon we're not going to have a choice. Now, I can take Main Street, which used to be considered the hood, it used to be considered the ghetto, and places that were black all over the country. White people are coming back, buying them up, kicking the blacks out, and saying, I don't know where you're gonna go, but you gotta get the hell out of here, right? And that's the way America is moving. They don't need our labor anymore. They don't need us for anything, and they're saying you can't even have the ghetto. Go find someplace else to go. So soon, we're not gonna be up debating where should we go. We're gonna be debating where we're gonna go, because it ain't gonna be a choice soon.
Okay, all right.
It's sick. If we know that I'll just ask you this way. If there's a woman who's been beaten by the same man for 50 years, let's just break it down to 10. He busts her face open, control her, brainwash her. Is it the only way that she's going to improve her life to leave?
Well, you know, she can pray. And pray just to make it today. Next question.
I'll do it. Okay. Okay. You go ahead.
My question. Okay. When you spoke.
Mr. Jackson, during I believe in the mid-19th century, our ancestors tried repatriation back to Africa. They settled in Liberia. And considering our long history here in America, do you not feel like you have some stake here, some claim, where you feel like this is my land, my ancestors died and built this land and bled? Like, if America is for anybody, it's definitely like.
Well, that's the question.
That is.
It's no doubt, it's not even up for dispute how much blacks have invested in this country. But it's just like when you invest in a bad car, at some point you have to get rid of it. You might have put $50,000 into the car already, but that doesn't mean you're gonna keep driving it when it's about to kill you, okay? So my position is, we've invested a lot, but I look again at Sandra Bland and I look at Fernando Castillo. I'm an attorney. I had to fight like hell for 20 years to get out of poverty and get out of the ghetto, right? And overcome all the statistics. My dad's a felon, my brother's a convicted felon. My mom raised 6 of us on food stamps. I had to fight like hell just to get here and be a father and have a wife, and they can pull me over today and blow me off the face of the earth, and no one will be punished, right? So just because I invested a lot, that don't mean I want to stay.
All right, there it is. Okay, we're gonna take one more. Brother Goldbright.
This question is for both. Both have opposed views. What steps can everybody in this room take? And I'm gonna alter your stance just a little bit because survivalism is far effective. So, what steps can individuals in this group take to thrive in America and prepare to go to Africa? And then either one can start first.
The number one step that we're gonna have to take is financial literacy. All right, we're gonna have to start compiling our resources, saving instead of wasting, because no one's going anywhere without money, like she said. No one's gonna thrive without assets. And as long as we spend all our money on, see, she said the poor don't really have the money. Blacks in America have more disposable income than many whole nations. But we have to start doing the right things with that money. You don't have to spend every dime that you get. You have to have an exit strategy. We had to have an exit strategy when the hurricane came, right? It took money. It took a vehicle, right? So if we're gonna exit the country, it's gonna take money. It's gonna take resources. But if we're going all the way back to the club every weekend, we're not gonna be prepared. So I think financial discipline, literacy, saving, thinking long term. What if something happened tomorrow? Can we get out of this state? Do I have $500 put to the side where I can gas up and go, right? I think those are the practical steps that we got to start thinking about.
Thank you, brother.
Well, as an educator, my first response is we must educate ourselves on first the system that we live in capitalism, and we must then go back and educate ourselves on how our ancestors have been able to thrive. And ancestors, like we talked about Black Wall Street, what type of attacks were brought upon our ancestors when they were thriving, so that we can know and be forward thinking on the steps that we need to take to counteract the steps that they're going to attack us with. Does that make sense? And so I think, of course, education, whether it be liberal arts or industrial, because I don't believe in Du Bois or Washington. I believe in Du Bois and Washington. And so we have to have both together, because thriving in America is extremely important when it comes to forward thinking, looking ahead, when Black people are able to then control the world again. You can't control the world again if we all leave America, then who's going to control this country when we then are able to overthrow the colonizer and take over Africa, and overthrow the colonizer and take over the Caribbean, and overthrow the colonizer and make sure that our brothers and sisters in the Middle East understand that they are of African origin and they need to join the crew too, right? Then we have world domination all over again, but you can't have that if you leave America and don't fight and take over this land, so that it's a piece of the puzzle when the whole world is taken over again, like our Moors did before, prior to the Crusade.
All right, that's a good point. So that ends our question and answer period for the audience. Now we want to move into our question and answer period from our panel of judges.
Two kids, that's my brother and his best friend. And I had about, can you hear me? When I started, we had 2 kids. And everyone thought we were crazy. We got up to about 5. We were being here talking about Black history and teaching them their spirituality and teaching them self-defense. Everybody said, these niggas crazy. Why they got them boys boxing and talking about Malcolm X and all this, that, and the third? I had maybe 20 or 30 followers on Instagram. But the message is pure and the message is right. And so as people that ignored us at first, it started to go viral. And now I have over 20,000 people watching everything we do on Instagram. And I've seen 5, 6, 7, 8 different groups spring up doing the exact same thing. So they getting the message, right? As long as we continue to do the work in the real world and then give them the blueprint, the book that I wrote, the Blueprint to Black Youth Empowerment. I wrote a book so they could have the blueprint. It's going to continue to spread. And so you're going to continue to see a lot of groups that throw away integration, throw away all this nonsense, and start to get down to business just like BPM. I'm seeing it every day.
Okay, Corey.
First, I have a statement for both. First, thank you for having me here, and I really enjoyed it. But coming from both of your stands, I failed to hear one most important thing, which is time. Time, as we know, waits for no one. So to have a plan to go back to Africa or have a plan to stay here in this Western culture, from everything that you said, you didn't give a time frame on how it would work. Or if you pass, will your ideas and ideology be passed down that can continue on or be put into action? Mm-hmm. Because it's going to take time for us to go back to Africa, and it's going to take time for us to stay here and fulfill the role that we're supposed to fulfill as our people. So without us entertaining time, how can either one of your points be put into play if you're not talking about time? Is this a 5-year plan? Is it a 10-year plan? Because without that, we're running a race with no goal, with no finish line. We're out here just running around with great ideas and talking from an ideal standpoint when we forget about the real norm of time. Mm-hmm. You know, we have to think about that. So I just wanted to mention that.
Let me read.
Well, it's not a question to him, just a statement.
Oh, okay.
My question, I start with Vernon. You said that going back is your stance. My question is, from research, I don't see, and hopefully you can explain this to me, I don't see the urge our Eastern culture in Ghana and Africa and Western Africa with a handout trying to help get us back over there as is we're trying to get over there. So my question is, are we trying to get somewhere where we're not accepted or wanted anymore?
That's the question?
That's my question.
Talk about Ghana?
No, my question is bigger than Ghana.
They passed legislation
No,
telling us to come back.
Bigger than Ghana.
And that if we came back, they would give us citizenship.
Right.
And they recruit because they know we have skills.
Absolutely.
They want us to come back.
My question is, what percentage of Ghana what percentage does Ghana have in Africa? Land.
I'm not sure. I didn't
It's
check.
very small. Can everyone hear the judge's questions?
I haven't calculated the land, man.
Hear the judge's questions?
I haven't calculated the land, man.
Okay.
Well, the reason why I asked that because it is a very small percentage. Actually, less than 5% of Africa is local. Well, Ghana takes up less than 5% of Africa.
But Africa is an
what I'm
enormous
saying-
continent.
Right. So I'm saying
That's still pretty big.
you have 95% or 95% of the country that's not opening their arms up to the area that you're talking about, and you're talking about an area that has a capacity. So how many blacks get to go back?
Okay, but what I'm saying,
What if all of us decide to go back? Can Ghana hold us?
and I'm not saying it should be just Ghana. And although no other countries have done this right to abode like Ghana has, that doesn't mean we don't have allies there. Because when Malcolm and Farrakhan and different blacks visit these countries, they are treated with the utmost respect. There are countries in Africa and in the Middle East that take American vessels hostage and kill everybody except the black people, because they know who we are and what our role should be in this world. So what I'm saying is that Ghana is just a starting point. That's just an example, right? That's just an example. And I believe that another person I had up in there, but I didn't really talk about him, was Robert Mugabe. He's a Garveyite. That means he's for repatriation. This is one of the only black men on the planet that's standing up to white supremacy. So that tells us we have another ally. It's not just Ghana. So the plan isn't fully developed, but I don't think we can say Ghana's the only place welcoming us or we don't have any more allies. I think we do have brothers and sisters there that understand what's going on. And I think as this momentum grows, we will have more.
Okay, my last question to Dr. Anthony. Your stance was to stay here in America. My question is this. Our Western culture for the role of a woman is not in line with the Eastern culture of a role of a woman. So for us to stay here, what kind of plan or kind of ideas that you may have in place that will help our Western culture women adapt that Eastern culture role of women so we can have that support structure, as you say, you support and understand the role of the family. What is in place for your idea for our Western culture women to adapt from the Eastern culture women so we can keep that family strong?
Right. As my opponent mentioned, the Honorable Marcus Messiah Garvey, his wife, Amy Jakes Garvey, second wife, Amy Jakes Garvey, lays the blueprint out for that. You can read about her works, Unveiled Garvey by Eula Taylor. It's a book that's out. My research talks about Amy Jakes Garvey's writings and the role of women in the community. Any Garveyite woman who is writing during this time, between the 1920s all the way up until the 1960s, where Amy Jakes is continuing to write, will lay out that blueprint. It is from this blueprint that we must understand how we have to restructure our communities to move forward so that we can survive and align with our Eastern ideology.
So as you said, you don't have per se a plan. You're actually dittoing Amy Jakes' plan, because I'm very familiar with that book and what she wrote. I guess my question, I guess I didn't make it clear. What would be your idea? What would be your plan of action?
Well, my plan of action is her. It is hers. So, like as an example that we're seeing here, here in Jacksonville, we have this organization that is training our brothers, right, and our sisters We need more of these organizations. More like-minded people have to come together. But the blueprint in which we pull from is Amy Jakes Garvey. Now, granted, different geographic locations might have to tweak it differently, right? What we do in the Deep South may not work up north. It may not work in the West. But the ideology, the mentality that family first, and this is what we need from our women in our family, is universal.
That's great. That's great. Now, we've had our Q&A from the judges.
All right,
I'll just like you to sit it out. Talk about, I'll just reiterate the question.
since you said that, as a Black African community, you stated that going back to Africa would be better for us. Okay, transitioning. You said money, education. Is that what you're doing now? Once you finish this plan and you talk to different people and you have everything set up, still transitioning the minds of Americans here, we want that. But if we go there, we don't know anyone. You know, you say go as a group. Do you know of a group that's going? How can you encourage us as Black people to say, yes, this is what I want to do? Where's the group of people that are putting funds into this, putting their minds together and over there, where we can say, okay, you're over there, we're going. Is there a way or a plan that you might can say we can start that can help us here to want that, to desire that more?
Well, I'll say three things. Number one, as my brother brought up, there's a whole nation where free Black Americans went back and left. That's Liberia. So we already have brothers who came over here and went through slavery and said, I'm getting out of here. Number two, like I said in my point, we already have 3,000 Black Americans living in Ghana that got fed up with this and said, look, I'm out of here. So it's not like we don't know anybody, because we can communicate with them. We can start building bonds with them now. With social media, they're right there. We can start communicating and building with them right now. It's just that easy. And I would say number three, do we have a plan? That's what Marcus Garvey's whole life was about. He left us the plan. Matter of fact, I thank you for bringing that up. We have the plan right here. All right? He spent his whole life giving us the blueprint. And we just have to have the guts to follow it and stop being caught up in integration. Because integration is a trick. So, yeah, we have some people that are already doing it. 10,000 Black people visit Ghana every year. And so we can build bridges with our people there.
You say pray. You say also income and education. But that's what, do you feel any different from what you thought of to what he said on going back? Would you consider that, or would you stay here like you said?
Queen Reigns just asked whether or not Takeia would even consider going back to Africa with the economic development and the moral development that she spoke about earlier.
But looking at myself personally, West Africa, not East Africa, I've been to East Africa, and the discrimination in East Africa is just as prevalent there from our own than what I received than from a white person here in the South, in the Deep South. And it was not until I actually opened my mouth and spoke English that the sister there actually, oh, you're American, and her whole attitude changed. But the white women who were in the store, she rushed to them still, even though when she discovered, and when she came to me, she just said, oh, you're not one of us. Where are you from? Are you from, Mozambique? Where are you from? And it was just discrimination in East Africa. When I went to West Africa, though, it was love, as spoken before, in Ghana. And I don't know if it was because of social economic status, because I went there to do tours of the slave castles, because I am a public historian as well. And so I don't know if it was because of the education, because I went there and people automatically knew I was Dr. Anthony. But in East Africa, I was just a person in the store. So I don't know how to compare that. But it was so much love in West Africa compared